If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in.
Oh, I've most certainly had that feeling a couple of times. It's actually why I made my channel.
There is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for all who have sworn fealty to Christian fundamentalism. All hail the status quo. What's up, guys, and thanks for tuning into my channel. Today we're going to be tackling a call for an uprising, who, according to his video title, can't take it anymore. But if you're new here and haven't already, please go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever new episodes come out, and if you want to see episodes early, please feel free to go ahead and pledge on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you get access to everything in the Patreon feed. Pledging $20 or more a month will give you a Patreon slide at the end of every video, along with other benefits. You guys literally keep my channel up and running, so thank you very much for that. There's also a merch store, affiliate link, yada yada yada. Alright, let's get into the fan art section. First of all, we have a very anime-inspired Suris from Cheshire, and then a Suris sitting at some sort of booth from Child on Fire, finally closing off with me at my live streams with my cat Yumi behind me from Three-Eyed Cat. As always, thank you all for your support, thank you for your fan art submissions, and let's get right into the video.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show.
More like this is a call for the 400,000 subscriber YouTube channel to please get a better mic and soundproofing. Seriously, I checked your Social Blade. You can probably afford it.
Oh, man. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Yeah, me either. It's echoey and really grating to listen to.
I mean, it's so ridiculous I want to laugh at it, but the fact that this is dead serious and this isn't like some type of spoof, that this is really going on in our world, and people are just like, they look at me, like, I can't believe there's people that message me and stuff and are like, leave these people alone who want to cross-dress and do all this stuff. Look at this guy. I mean, and I don't know, I'm trying not to be, this isn't bullying or hate speech. Look at this guy. Guy's wearing a tablecloth dress.
That took you an uncomfortably long amount of time to say. Like, I know that I wear robes, and that's probably already a problem for you, but looking at the picture, it's just a dude in a dress. This is a topic that you somehow thought was so important that it needed addressing. Sorry, your video's already cringier than my puns.
And they have this other woman wearing this dress at this award show, and they're like, who wore it better? Look, who's got this is a man wearing a dress.
So, the idea that men should wear one thing and women should wear another one's pretty much socially constructed anyway. Not to mention, people usually don't see much of an issue with women wearing overalls, t-shirts, suits, and other, quote, masculine attire. I think it's honestly kind of funny that there are people who are putting the shoe on the other foot and having men in dresses and blouses. Normally, I don't like rocking the boat and upsetting people just for the sake of it, but if it gets people like you upset, I'm perfectly okay with it happening more often.
Now, what's important to remember is that all of these Satanists who are prominently positioned in these positions of influence on our society are here to influence people, teens out there, the youth out there who are very easily manipulated. And everything that they do is to invert the Bible, to do everything against God's laws, right?
Aha. I guarantee you that when somebody put this dress on, that was the first thing he did. He cracked open his Bible and he said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna violate that passage today. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Or, more likely, he just wanted to wear a dress. But people like you seem to have to appeal to some giant conspiracy and then throw Satan behind everything. The closest thing to satanic that I've listened to this entire time is your audio quality. Moreover, your point is that there are people in positions of power influencing the youngsters, but you've got a 400,000 subscriber channel. That's no mean feat, my dude. You have a very high level of influence. Moreover, this article that you pointed out has only 110 shares on social media. So comparatively speaking, you have infinitely more reach than the people in this article. And yet, your argument seems to be that people with high levels of influence are corrupting the youth. There's something to say about throwing stones from glass houses, but when your glass house is made entirely of mirrors, it's probably some form of personal issue that you aren't looking in them.
And a lot of people don't even know that this is actually in the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Oh, so we're going into old school biblical law, old mosaics. Okay, I sincerely hope you don't consume shellfish or wear mixed fabrics. I know that's like the default atheist side argument here, but when you make statements in reference to the earliest chapters of the Bible, I'm going to go ahead and reference those chapters as well. And I'm going to hazard a guess that you're wearing something that's what, at least 40% polyester? Maybe? And God forbid you live on a coastal town. And this is ignoring the obvious elephant in the room of why in the hell should any of us be following the Bible anyway? The last guy I covered literally made an entire outline on how to engage in holy war. An argument for a particularly brutal bloodbath paradoxically meant to stop the violent Muslims and atheists. I'm starting to find absolutely zero reason to look at the Bible as any sort of guide for anyone in their modern day lives. That book seems to be equally capable of creating benign, neighbor-loving Christians as it is to create either alt-right proponents or apologists. Would that we just looked at it as a piece of historical literature instead of a guideline for modern day life? That would be swell.
Again, in other words, men aren't supposed to be wearing women's clothing. That's one of the reasons that you see this insanity going on in today's world. We're not even just talking about the whole gender issues that we have. I'm just talking about this guy going into a award show wearing a dress, and then people are like calling him brave and talking about how normal this is. Everybody has pretty much lost their minds.
Especially you, considering that in that sentence you had two contradictory statements. Either everybody's talking about how brave it is, which is probably a reference to how counterculture he's being, or they're talking about how normal it is, which would mean that he's not being terribly counterculture, since he would be working within the established norms. These two positions don't work terribly well side by side.
And really, it would be time to start using those, the psych wards that we have out there.
Because a random dude put on a dress. He put on a piece of fabric that you didn't want him to put on, so now he must go into the mental institution. Do you actually listen to the things that come out of your mouth? I mean, I know I made the glass house made of mirrors joke earlier, but no, seriously, is introspection something that you're actually incapable of?
But unfortunately, I think they're reserving them for us because they're just going to label us as the crazy ones once they convince everybody that all of this sin and all this absolute insanity is normal.
Well, yeah, considering that the diagnoses for someone going into a psych ward don't include offending a god. I would never make the argument that religion or anything like that is even close to a mental illness, or that God belief is something close to an auditory hallucination. Likewise, I would hope the criterion of guy wears a dress wouldn't immediately constitute somebody going into a psych ward either. Because again, by that metric, we would have to take women wearing something like a suit and apply it equally there. Which would mean...
It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on?
Then people will be looking at us and they'll be like, these people aren't normal. They're hateful, they're angry, they're not accepting.
Is the joke dead yet? The whole glass houses mirror thing? Because again, you're the guy literally making an entire video about making fun of one dude wearing a dress and then talking about how the other side's not accepting. When people on the other side are literally being accepting of this dude in the dress. Meanwhile, you're being intolerant and labeling it all Satanism and something that needs to be sent to a mental institution. So the only thing that I could see the other side is actually being guilty of is intolerance of intolerance. And intolerance of intolerance is not actually intolerance.
They don't follow Aleister Crowley's do without will. We got to get them in the psych ward. They believe in a fairy tale god. That's what they always like to say about us.
So, while there are a lot of atheists that view the God of the Bible as a fairy tale god, since they see many of the stories in the Bible as fairy tales and the god Yahweh as the god of those stories, therefore a fairy tale god, there aren't actually many who'd be willing to say that Christians are mentally ill by mere merit of them being Christians. And to the few that do think religion's a mental illness of some kind, I've already given my issues air in the video I did about the arguments against God, because the argument that religion is a form of mental illness is absolutely asinine and stupid.
I mean, this is legitimately going on. Men, are being praised for this. And I've covered, Jared Leto wearing high heels. I mean, wearing high heels, men wearing dresses to their offices. Jared Leto wearing high heels, I did a video on it. People are commenting in the video that men wore high heels first. What?
Yes, that's because high heels were originally worn by men. Louis XIV in the 18th century was known for wearing high heels. This is because historically, if you were a man in a position of power, one of the ways your political opponents would slander you would be by making fun of your height. This is something we actually saw with Napoleon Bonaparte, who actually was of the average height of every other man during his day, but was propagandized into being a dwarf. High heels were, for men, a historical way of asserting dominance and power, literally wearing an article of clothing that allowed you to tower over the individuals that were subservient to you or were your opponents. This is because, again, culture defines decorum, not the other way around. What decides what is masculine and feminine is completely and totally at the will of the society around us. This is a pretty basic concept, something that can be observed with even a cursory glance at history.
What is going on? And they're defending it like it's normal. And then, this stuff with the sexuality is even more laughable, because you can go on, today on CNN, on the main page, look at this. Shallow hitmaker Mark Ronson, no idea who he is, puts brains before looks as he comes out as sapiosexual? Sapio? Let's just call it sapio.
400,000 people are subscribed to someone who can't even pronounce sapio, when you literally belong to the race Homo sapien sapien. You can't even pronounce your own family. This is sad. Also, sapiosexuality literally just means that you are more attracted to the smarts that someone has than their looks, much like how I'm demisexual. I'm attracted to personality, more so than looks. In fact, my ability to be sexually attracted to somebody hinges directly on whether or not I'm attracted to their personality. And yeah, that even makes watching porn kinda hard. No pun intended. And you can make fun of why we have all these individual labels at all. That's fine, but the point of language in general is to describe things. And it is much faster to say sapiosexual or demisexual than it is to say I happen to find myself more attracted to personality traits and or intellect. One of these is much faster, and therefore more useful. And language usually benefits from being concise where it can.
Sapiosexual. And you might say, what is that? Well, let's find out, because apparently, this is how ridiculous our world is getting, where a man and a woman, aren't supposed to be together.
Sapiosexuality says nothing about whether or not you should go with a man or a woman.
Chart topper Mark Ronson's come out as sapiosexual. In case you're not familiar with the term, it means being attracted to intelligence above other traits. Or in other words, putting brains before looks or gender. All right, let's just say it together. A 1 and a 2 and a huh?
Are you really that stupid? I'm serious. I'm not actually attempting to be insulting. I'm just pointing out that it seems to me that you are so willfully stupid, not willfully ignorant, willfully stupid, that you are taking pride in the fact that an incredibly simple concept is something that you don't understand. That's not something to be proud of. Stupidity is not a positive character trait. As they say, ignorance can be fixed with learning, but there is no cure for stupidity. So reveling in your own idiocy isn't exactly something that I would be particularly proud of. Then again, there is that lovely little thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where someone is so nightmarishly stupid that they think they're smarter than everybody else. I feel as though you're a perfect walking example of that.
Putting brains before looks or gender. They're really trying to just completely take away the gender line, where it's just like, oh, this person really knows the alphabet very well. They could say it backwards. I'm attracted to them. I don't care if they have a penis or a vagina. Like, what?
He says without understanding that sapiosexuals can be straight, just as demisexuals like myself can be straight as a frickin' board. Because what gender I'm attracted to and what phenotypical traits I'm attracted to is a separate category than personality or intelligence. You can be both sapiosexual and homosexual, where your ability to be romantically and sexually attracted to someone is going to be based entirely on their intellect, but whether or not you can even pursue anything with that person would be based on their gender or phenotype. These are not contradictory things, and even if they were, you should be able to hold them in your head perfectly fine, since you seem to be no stranger to cognitive dissonance.
Men are attracted to women naturally. Women are attracted to men naturally. Men who are attracted to men are women who are attracted to women. Well, I won't say.
Why not? Why won't you say? Are you worried that your opinion's too edgy and it might get you kicked off YouTube? Or is this you finally developing a sense of introspection and realizing that you're sitting in a house made of molten sand?
Because I'm smart enough not to say.
That's not the operative word here.
But I think you know what I mean. Ronson, 44, is known for a string of successful collaborations with A-list stars like Amy Winehouse, Adele, and Miley Cyrus. This year he won the Oscar for Best Original Song with Shallow, interpreted by Lady Barfbag and Bradley Cooper, or Pooper Scooper, in Hollywood's latest reimagining of A Star is Born.
Lady Barfbag and Sir Pooper Scooper. That's the best insults you could come up with?
Speaking on ITV's Good Morning Britain on Thursday, he said, "I feel like I identify as sapiosexual." I mean, what in the world? Anchors Ben Shepherd and Kate Garraway congratulated him on being out and proud. Oh my gosh.
I mean, you're literally providing us an excellent working example of why somebody would have to be proud for their sexuality. What should be considered a benign trait that is not something to be proud of or not, seems to get assaulted by people like you in public discourse, thereby leading people to default onto pride as a defensive mechanism. I don't think you understand that you literally are helping create this problem that you have such an issue with. What's one of the reasons that people are told to be so proud to be Christians? That they're persecuted? It's really awkward when the shoe's on the other foot, isn't it? Also, let me know in the comments section if you've noticed that this guy's arguments seem to all basically boil down to, what? And, huh? And, oh my god. It's like listening to a 12-year-old attempt to talk about something. The only reaction they're able to give with their limited emotional range is shock.
Author Nikki Hodgson appeared on the show earlier defending the term. The definition of sapiosexual means intelligence first. Define intelligence, by the way, right? You're supposed to believe that intelligence is based off of, they went to Harvard, they went to Stanford. And in reality, it shows you what an inverted world we are, because the people who, and look, I went to college and graduated from a good college.
I'm inclined to believe you, because that's the charitable thing to do, but you're not really demonstrating that you ever actually did that. Considering that to graduate you would have had to create some sort of thesis, and you're making it incredibly hard for me to determine whether or not you have the ability.
At the time, I wasn't, aware. I mean, I knew the stuff I was learning was total crap. And, I won't even get into that. Maybe I'll do another video on it someday on my website. But think about how inverted it is, right? The people who go through the system and learn the system of lies, fake history, all this nonsense, are rewarded. They go to the best schools. But even though most of the ones who go to the Ivy League schools, because remember, the Ivy League schools are massively controlled schools, and that's where they do a lot of the recruiting for these other secret societies like Skull and Bones, and also obviously a lot of bloodline relations to that as well. But those are the people who are deemed like the smart, intelligent ones based on the based on the perception of, oh, they went to this school, and oh, they have a doctorate, oh, they must be so super smart.
Except none of that was brought up in the article. Yes, there's an argument to be made about some of the cult-like behaviors of certain collegiate systems, but he simply said intelligence, and then you put on what you think your perception of intelligence is through the lens of society that I'm honestly not very certain that you actually can see through. For instance, autodidacts exist, and I personally would see them as incredibly intelligent in their own right. Hell, when it comes to biology, I see Aaron Raw as incredibly intelligent, and he's an autodidact. My friend Godless Engineer, even though we have our disagreements, is also incredibly intelligent. In the fields in which we disagree on, we both are self-taught. Hell, I never went to college, and yet there's at least one or two people that think I'm kind of smart.
When in reality, they're really the dumbest people, because they believe they're the smartest ones at believing all the lies, in other words. And it shows you how inverted this world is.
I don't know. I've actually found that the more smart somebody is, the more ignorant they realize that they are, because the more you study into a certain topic, the more you realize you don't know. For instance, when I began my channel, I thought I knew everything I needed to know about philosophy, and the more and more I study about it, the more I realize that I'm actually kind of an idiot. Woefully ignorant on 99% of subjects philosophically, and only moderately equipped to deal with the small bit that I've studied. And that's not me trying to say that I'm smart, that's just me pointing out what my personal experience with this is. It's usually not the smartest people that go around calling themselves very smart.
Listen to this quote. I've dated men, women, trans women, and across the gender spectrum, and identify now as bi. The thing that has linked all these people has been their brains. Arguing that research on the subject validates the term, she says we know that a certain percentage of the population is also sapiosexual. They just might not know it themselves. I mean, what is going on?
The world is changing and studying and learning, and you're getting left behind, and that makes you uncomfortable?
Right? I mean, what happens in the day, like a guy goes on a date with a girl, he's like, yeah, I really like her, you know, she's pretty smart. Now it's like, I'm a sapiosexual, so I'm definitely attracted to you because you know really good geometry and mathematics.
Oh my god. Are you really going to start posting pictures of trans men or cross-dressers or whatever you happen to be able to pull up from the internet to elicit some kind of disgust from your audience? I mean, your production quality is basically nil. You're literally just talking over a slideshow. Not that I'm much better. But onto the actual point you made, that still happens. Because, like it was argued earlier in the video that you yourself made, it is about putting someone's intelligence over other traits. That intelligence being infinitely more important than phenotypical expression, personality, and other things. You yourself read the definition. You are not unaware of this. So your dinky little straw man about, oh, what happened to the days, is ignoring the fact that this still happens. There are people who are attracted to people's looks first, and then discover parts of their personality and intellect that they actually enjoy quite a lot, as opposed to somebody who sees those demonstrations of intellect first and then sees that they are physically attractive. Functionally, nothing has changed. We've just developed a term to talk about a range of attractions that we didn't have one for before.
Okay? Like, what? And people buy into this stuff. I mean, this has got to be the dumbest... No, it is. I say it all the time. It doesn't gotta be. It is the dumbest period of time ever of human existence.
Well, at least we agree on that. It is, after all, a period of time that I have to share with people like you, Ken Ham, and Kent Hovind.
And the reason, like I said, is everything is being inverted. Everything is being flipped over. Men are wearing dresses. Why? Because, like I said, Deuteronomy 22:5, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do are an abomination to the Lord thy God. Everything, this is what happens in Satanism. When these people go into the occult, and I'm not talking about, receiving a certificate in the mail from the Satanic Temple. I'm talking about real Satanists.
Oh? You're talking about the real Satanists. So the people in the Satanic Temple are not actually Satanists? So is this a no true Scotsman argument, but it's from the outside in? Okay, well then, I'm friends with real Christians. Not the ones that use their Bible as a bludgeoning device to make fun of people for wearing dresses, but the ones who actually give to the poor and love their neighbors as themselves, even if those neighbors live in conspicuously reflective glass houses, with a surprising number of blindfolds held within.
What they do, and their initiation includes breaking the 10 Commandments, and then continuing to break and do everything opposite of what God's law is. And that's the goal that they have, to create this society, this world, that fully is convinced in everything being inverted that it's normal, that men wearing dresses is normal behavior, that, the LGBT stuff is normal, not having a gender is normal. And we're seeing people accept it. I'm seeing it with my own eyes because I see some of the comments that people write, and I see the videos people do on me.
You mean like this one? Oh, I hope you see this one.
Attacking me for my belief in, which apparently I'm not allowed to have a belief because it doesn't accept everybody's everything.
Oh no, you're most certainly allowed to have your belief, and people are most certainly allowed to criticize you for that. This is kind of the essence of freedom of speech. You have every right to be a bigoted, homophobic piece of garbo, and I have every right to verbally hit you with a hammer. I've never once said that you're not entitled to your opinion. I've just said that somehow you've managed to subvert the dictionary definition of the word and have a wrong one.
And I could care less what any of these people say, but, oh, he's such a bigot, such a hateful person. I was born, and then they try to explain it. They're like, I was born with a penis but identify as a woman. Like, you're a dude. I don't care what you say. You're a dude.
Okay, then I don't care what you say. You're a woman. You're a woman and your name is Martha. So how's it going, Martha?
So you could say it all you want. You're clueless. You don't even know what it's like to be a woman. You can't have a period. Hey, baby, come on, what is this nonsense?
Ah, yes, the aspects of womanhood boiled down to their most important. The period. I wasn't aware that the Bloody Fountain of Youth was the thesis for femininity. Please, Martha, tell me everything about being a woman.
It's not that time of the month for you ever, so how would you even know? And that's just saying one specific thing based off of, hormones and all that stuff.
And what about the women who never experience a period? Are they now men because they don't have this? Well, no, you would probably say not. Or you would deny that women who don't have periods even exist. Seriously, primary amenorrhea exists. It's literally what happens when young women don't get periods and then never get them. It's rare, but it happens. So again, please tell me all about the female experience.
These people really are convinced. They really believe in this stuff because all they have to do is hear it be labeled as science, that some scientist said it. It's really unreal. So,
yeah, not unlike people who believe in the more fantastical aspects of the Bible because they're written in that book. Real quick, though, does it get awkward when you're showering in your glass house and other people are looking at your ding-dong? Or do the reflective surfaces work both ways?
Here we are with a man who is now coming out with apparently we have a new sexuality, sapiosexual, call it whatever you want. Although it should be called institutionalize me, sexual.
I'm fairly certain that that particular one is taken by Harley Quinn.
Because it's unbelievable. Where this is like a new thing. I'm attracted to people who are smart. Right? I'm attracted to people that I find attractive. Does that make sense? I mean, what?
Oh, I get it now. It all makes sense. You find people who are sapiosexual threatening because if you were attracted to somebody who was sapiosexual, there would be no ability for them to have an attraction to you. I get it now. It makes sense. Great. Now the emotion I have for you is pity. I didn't want that. Please say something to make me stop pitying you, please.
This is the fallen world, folks. Boy, this ride is getting scarier by the day. Sound the trumpets, please. And don't forget who wore it better, the guy in the pink curtain or the one that we're supposed to think is a woman, but I don't know who that is, but I think you get the drift. It's insane out there. And thank you for listening to today's show. Whew. Unbelievable, folks. God bless all of you and your families.
I really don't know how to feel about this one. Like I said, after a while I just started pitying the guy, and I recognize there's going to be a subset of my audience who are incredibly angry at me for purposefully misgendering him, but if you're unfamiliar with my content, you should know that that's a tactic that I routinely use when dealing with people who are transphobic. If you don't want to use someone else's pronoun for whatever reason, then I just simply won't use yours. It's called fairness. But what can we garner from this video? Well, I think the most prominent thing is that, what? Huh? And oh my god are not actually arguments. They're the default shock emotions that usually precede any type of actual argument. Except in this case, no argument was forthcoming. He just moved into the next thing that he could bitch about. At the end of the day, it seems that he's just really upset that trans people exist, or that cross-dressing isn't being demonized the way that he particularly wants it. But honestly, the most offensive thing about his video wasn't anything he actually said, since nothing he said had enough substance to even garner any type of offense. The most offensive thing was his microphone, and the lack of soundproofing. It honestly sounded like he recorded that entire thing from his bathroom, which would at the very least explain why his opinions didn't seem out of place in his own ass. But that said, if you guys enjoyed the video, please go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. If you really enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, and if you hated it, well, share it with your enemies. Use it as some sort of torture device. If you want to support the channel and what I do, please go ahead and head over to Patreon. You'll be able to see episodes earlier there when you do. If you want to support me while getting merch instead of benefits, then please go ahead and head over to my merch store. The link is in the description below. There should also be a couple panels advertising merch below the video as well. Remember that there's also an affiliate link down there if you want to go ahead and get some sex toys, because I'm at least going to be honest with you guys, the first thing that I want to do now that I've had to sit through this entire drivel is go fuck myself. Make sure to use coupon code Suris, and as always everyone, insert end of video tagline here.